I am just having a little technical difficulty with my team song today, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on. But once it decides to download, then I will definitely play it for you guys because I know that that is one of my trademarks, right? My team song. So I was told people really like it, so I am going to be sure to play that as soon as I get it loaded up. It says 3 minutes, so I don't know why it's taking so long. But good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hannah, and you are listening to Keeping It Fresh with Hannah on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. Where you are, it may be 6 o'clock, and that's evening time because based on how I was trained, up until 6 o'clock is afternoon. After 6 o'clock, it is evening, right? So it's a wonderful day. It was really great here in Houston. The weather was in the 80s, and I had a wonderful time going outside. I had to run a couple of errands, and I went out, and the weather was just amazing. And somehow, traffic was actually keeping up with me this time. So normally, traffic does not keep up with me. I don't know why. It's like always issues. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to go on there and share the live on my page. So I just want to thank each and every one of you for joining me and listening. I hope you enjoyed my show last week. I had a tremendous, awesome time. And for those of you who know me, when I am finished with my show, I am so excited and pumped because I'm just so excited that people get information, and I've been getting responses as well. So thank you. So meet me here on touchradio.nyc on Sundays from 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 5 p.m. Central Standard Time as I air from Houston into homes worldwide. Yes, I live in Houston. I've been in Houston now since 2009. 2009. And I was told that I'm a native Houstonian now because whenever you're stuck in traffic and you want to find your way out, if you know back roads in your community, you're considered a Houstonian. So this is my hometown, right? So Houston is my hometown now. That's what I was told, but I still love New York. New York is my heart, I say. I became an adult in Houston, even though I was not born and raised there, but I did become an adult in Houston. So I mean in New York City. So that's my hometown. So, just a little understanding about my show. It is about sharing ideas that are different from the normal way of thinking and doing life. That is what keeping it fresh is about. It's about making your life fresh and new each and every day. I'm not saying that life is always going to be all hype and exciting and fun. No, it's not always going to be like that. However, if you have a way of addressing life and understanding what life is about and how to operate in life, you can definitely rise above these circumstances. So I'm not asking you to live in a fairy tale or some unrealistic view of life where everything is always fun and exciting and living in la la land. I'm not asking you to have an unrealistic view of life, but I'm definitely saying it's about looking at yourself, the people around you, the circumstances of your life from a place of happiness, joy, contentment, and acceptance, in spite of what life may look like around you, right? If we think about the life that we're living right now with COVID and the social unrest we have here in the United States, and there's some sort of social unrest all over the world, and to some extent, not everywhere, but to some extent, there's sort of social unrest. And we can live a life in that space without being dictated by what's going on. So it's not like we have to live our lives, what's what I'm looking for, as fearful as the world is going to explode and everyone's going to die. Recently someone called me and he was telling me, so for those of you who knows what a susu is, and not the susu that's been going around recently, but the true sense of the susu, where every week you put a pool of money together. So it's a form of savings where every week for a period of time, let's say for 10 weeks, you put a, a pool of $100, and you every week you pay your $100 in. So every week someone who is part of the pool actually gets the $1,000, let's say, for instance. So I am actually helping out and I'm running a susu right now. And one person he said he wants to be in the susu, he calls me and he says to me, susu off. So I was like, well, why? So he says to me, well, we're expecting social unrest after the what you call it, after the election. He said, because if Trump doesn't win, then this is going to happen, and if Biden does win, this is going to happen. And he is so fearful to make a decision and live his life. And I was like, but what does that have to do with us, right? Even though there may be some sort of civil unrest, not every area in life is going to be part of the civil unrest, right? So my goal is to help myself first and foremost, and also to help those who choose to listen to me to live a life above that type of fearful living. Because so many people in the world actually are living in a place of peace. So why do we choose to live in a place of turmoil when we really don't have to, right? So we have control over how we determine our emotions, because we are the ones that determine our emotions. Other people do not actually. We determine that. So for those of you who are joining me on Facebook, I just want to say hi to Bunny, Cheryl Howard. Say hi. I say Cheryl Williams, Daniel Smith, Delano, and Charlene. For those of you who are looking, thank you so much for joining me. And if there's anyone else that's out there, definitely you'll go ahead and share the link, because this is some really good information, and I come with it fresh. Right? That's why I call the show Keeping It Fresh, because I'm always fresh with it. I come fresh, and not fresh in the sense of bad behavior like how we say in the islands, right? I'm keeping it fresh as it relates to the information that I bring. So it's really about having a mindset that says all is well, because all really is well, right? All is well, but we get wrapped up in the emotion of life, right? And we lose control. But when you live in a life that's fresh, right? Live in life from a new perspective, which is what I would like to share with you guys. All is well, and you are in control. I am in control of how I live my life, right? And my goal is to help you to accept the inevitable now. And what I mean by that, the inevitable now, is that this moment, this very moment that I'm sitting here speaking into this microphone, this is the moment. It cannot change. It can change in the next moment, but in this very moment, this is, right? And so many of us try to change the is and cause ourselves suffering, right? So that is my goal, is to help you to accept the now, the is of life, because the is of life is all that there is really. Everything, even the moment I just spoke, there's already in the past, is dead, is gone. It can replay through a video, but when it comes to now, in this very moment, this is it. It is. So sometimes we live in a is moment and it doesn't meet our expectations. It doesn't meet the promises that people made with us. It doesn't meet how your parents want it to look or somebody else want it to look. And therefore, we cause ourselves suffering because we're grieving what did not happen. We're grieving what we want to happen and not really understanding that is all we have, nothing more. So acceptance is the key to peace of mind, accepting the moment as is. And I had a rough summer with that is because as much as I'm speaking it to you, sometimes it's really difficult to remember that it is. It just is what it is, right? And we want to force things to be different, right? You want to force other people to think differently, to do differently, whether it's your children, your spouse, your coworker, your boss, and you cause yourself so much grieving instead of just allowing the situation to be, right? And I caused myself a lot of grieving this summer because I didn't allow the situation to be. And you decide how to respond to what is happening. So let's say, for instance, it's raining outside and you really had plans to have this big barbecue. You can't change the is. The is it's raining. You can't do anything about the raining. But what you can do is probably decide you're going to bring your party inside, right? And do your barbecue from there as opposed to trying to have your barbecue outside in the rain and everybody getting wet and all the food is wet and everything else. Although for us in the islands, that's probably what we would do, right? We would probably go out there and run in the rain and have ourselves a good time because rain don't stop a thing for us. So yeah. So if you're from Trinidad or from one of those Caribbean islands where rain don't stop nothing, then definitely that is what you we can do, right? We can just accept that is and move on. And that is a way of accepting is, right? When you think about it too, right? You're accepting the fact that rain is falling and you make a decision. How are you going to manage it? So the decision could be, hey, let's have fun in the rain. Or the decision could be, let's bring the party inside, depending on the group of people that you're entertaining, right? So it all depends on perspective. So allowing the situation to be, but you decide how you're going to respond to what is happening and not be controlled by people and situations of life. So that is how the premise of my show to bring different ideas and how we can improve our quality of life, not necessarily by material wealth or material gain, but by how our internal work, our internal minds, and how we operate from that perspective. And when you operate from there, life becomes easier. Trust me. Even though I had my own grieving and went through my whole situation because I didn't accept the is, I still eventually through it, or I could have been still living in that wannabe land because sometimes that's what people do. A situation happens, and instead of accepting for what it is and see how you can operate and see how this situation could be a gift to you and how you can actually elevate your life and your thinking through it, we grieve it and we carry it for months and years upon years. And then it's like you hear people say it before, she was really cool, she really nice. I don't know, she just get really bitter and resentful. It's because you didn't accept what was or what was at that point in time and see how you could move forward in that moment. But instead, in your mind, you live in a space of resentment and guilt. So I'm sorry, guys, that should not be up and running. All right. So I am sure you know someone besides you who may want to help pushing past the barriers of life to achieve their goals or live a more peaceful life. Please do me a favor if you're watching on my Facebook, please share the live so we can get as many people here listening to this information. Or if you can share the website link, which would be www.touch radio.nyc. That's www.touch, touch, radio.dio.nyc. You don't have to do anything once a person goes to that website. you would, the next thing you'd hear is my beautiful voice. So please share the link. Or you can start your own watch party like I did on Facebook. So you can start your own watch party. Or you can actually find me on YouTube streaming at Touch Radio NYC. I have it here. I'm sorry, guys. I should have copied it here as well too, because I have it all written down so that I don't miss anything and I stay on track. All right. So it is Touch Radio NYC live stream. Okay, that's on YouTube. So there's so many different ways you can share this information. I believe my mom should be listening in as well because you know that my mother is a very important part of my life. And as y'all maybe some of y'all may be aware, I recently my dad recent not my dad. Well, it's kind of like my dad the way we grew up, but my brother recently passed, and he was a very integral part of our lives. So she struggled a little bit, and recently, just to tell you how hip and hype this woman is, okay? So we're having trouble with her phone, and she sent the computer to get repaired. They came back and need this, that, the other, and she's like, I tell him, throw away that computer. I have this phone now. I could WhatsApp everybody. So my mother, she get a phone once again. So there's no more magic. Jack, a video call. My son called me this morning. What happened to mother phone? I was like, boy, that phone not working no more. She have WhatsApp him. I could video call her, say, yeah, him. Yeah, that's what's up. So now my mother video calling once again. She used to do it a few years back and things changed. But now she is busy on WhatsApp. I can't even get a woman. The other day I called her, the phone ringing busy. I said, but what really going on here? You know, she is just having a time of her life with this WhatsApp all of a sudden. So yes, so share because so many people want and need information on how to manage their lives, especially now with COVID. You know, COVID seemed to be raising its ugly head again, and we did expect that. We did expect that once the fall came, there would be another wave, and the wave is coming because some people are doing too much waving. For instance, some communities are out there not wearing their masks, congregating in big groups, and COVID is a moving virus. So if you move, it moves too. So I just want you all to be careful out there. You know, be healthy as much as you can. Take your vitamins. Take your vitamins. Take your hot teas, do hot steams, whatever. I'm not telling you, but I'm just telling you what I do for preventative measures. Do your hot steams. I haven't done one in a while, so I need to do that again. And wear your mask and stay 6 feet away or more, right? These are the things to help reduce the spread. So here in Houston, I think the infection rate is now below 1. So that's pretty good, right? So for those of you in areas where the virus is increasing, please, 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 please take preventative measures to make yourself and your families healthy because we want to live. We came here to live, right? We don't want to go out like that if we don't have to. So please, please take your measures to ensure that you stay healthy. All right. So I've given you all a few moments to share the link. Okay. Share the link, share the link, share the link. So I want to go back a little bit and talk about just a little recap of what we talked about last week. So last week we talked about what's holding you back. There's so many different things that works to hold people back, but I don't know what you want from your life, really. I really don't know what you want from your life. You know what you want from your life more than anybody else. You know what dreams and desires you have, right? And I would hope we all have goals, desires, and dreams that we want to achieve before we close our eyes and leave this earth. I have a lot that I want to achieve. It may be going back to college. A friend of mine recently told me she want to go back to law school, and she's older than I am, and that's excellent. You have a dream and a desire. We all have them, whatever it is. It may be changing jobs, right, or going for that promotion that you want, I don't know what it is. It could be starting a business. For some of you, a lot, especially now, you feel as though starting a business is a way of some sort of protection for your income, right? You depending on yourself if you want to do it as a side business or if you want to do it as a full-time business. It might be getting married, whatever your goal is, or just having a better relationship with your sweetheart, right? You remember all the fun times you had, and now things may not necessarily be the way they used to be, but you want to have that better relationship with your sweetheart once more, right? So it could be that's what you want to do. Or it could be raising a family. You haven't had children yet and you want to raise children, you want to raise some children, whether they're yours or your biological children, or if they're adopted, right? Adopted children. There are a lot of adopted children out there that needs love that you can provide. Or it could be buying a home. That's one of the major signs of achieving the American dream is buying a house. Maybe that's what you would like to do, and that hasn't materialized for you yet. And something is holding you back. So we're going to talk about that. Or it could be traveling the world, writing a book, or just retiring and volunteering your time in a remote island somewhere in Asia. Who knows? I don't know for you what it is for you, but I can tell you, I recall I said that I had, I recall that I said that fear is what's holding us back from living the lives we truly want, right? We can label our reality, and reality is true and real. We can label our reality as COVID, especially in the season that we're in. It could be discrimination when you think about all what's going on in America and even other countries as well. We can say, that our reality is a lack of finances, or you don't have the education, you don't have the money. That was one of my issues. You don't have the money, or it might be you have some health challenges that you're working on, or you may just think, what, I ain't physically attractive. I just don't look good. But trust me, every cup has its saucer, so you may not look attractive to yourself or to other people, but there's somebody out there that thinks you're the bomb.com. So don't worry about it. That's not your issue. Trust me, there's somebody out there for you. So I'm not asking you to deny any of these realities at all, right? Because these are true, and they're real. We have to live in these realities. So don't want to downplay those, right? Because they do exist. They definitely exist, right? So those may be some of the things that you said that is holding you back. But remember, I said initially that we found that fear is the thing that holds us back, right? So I also gave you all homework to do last week. So yes, I didn't tell you all I was going to grade you, but I did ask you to do some homework. And do you recall? I know some of you did not do it. So here's the homework again. So before drifting off to sleep, close your eyes and daydream. Okay, yes, you heard me. Daydream. And I'm hearing some of you all saying, I am too old to daydream. Trust me, you already daydream. Trust me. You daydream all about the things that could go wrong. Yes, you do, right? You daydream about the argument that you had and what you should have said this, and you come up with like 900 points you should have made when the argument was going on. That's daydreaming, right? You daydream about the bad things that they want to. Okay, I'm sorry. So your significant other walks up to you and says, "Hey, we need to talk." You don't daydream that, oh, well, maybe they're going to take us on a trip, maybe we're going to go in buy that car. You daydream about all the bad things they want to say to you. You find the worst things that they would want to think about or talk about. So therefore, you already do daydreaming. You just do it in a negative way. You do all the bad things. You daydream about the bad things, right? So what I want you to do is to daydream about the things you really want from life, those things that you really and truly want in your life, right? So give yourself the freedom. When I say give yourself, forget about all those negative things you've been carrying in your life all the time. Give yourself freedom to feel in your emotions and see in your mind what it is you want. I don't care how old you are. You could be as old as my mother, 88. That woman daydreams, okay? She has some goals that she wants to achieve still. All right. And some people would tell older folks, well, you achieve so much in your life. What more you want out of life? So long as your eyes are open, you can daydream. So I was just told that my guest is here. So I let me just wrap this up and I'll get to him because that is some fun things that we want to talk about. So I'm gonna definitely get back to my daydream, but I wanted you all to remember this, and I'm going to give you this homework again before we leave. That I want you to daydream. I want you to think about whatever it is you want in your life and bring that vision up in your mind. So when I come back, I will definitely talk about part two to your homework, and so we can move on. So I have a guest coming on today, but before I get to my guest, I definitely want to be able to make some announcements because I have to be true to our sponsors, okay? So I want to be true to our sponsors. And let me just do this. All right. So I want to be true to our sponsors and share our announcements. All right. So that is already done. So Shawnee Mountain Gateway Part 1 ski overnight trip, where is Shawnee Mountain Getaway Part 1 ski overnight trip. And even though you're not in New York area, you can definitely buy a plane ticket and get away and go up in the snow and have yourself a good time, all right? So each package includes round trip ticket for each person in package, lodging for 2 nights, activities, a Touch Radio New York City party. So you know how we love to party, skiing, snowboarding, snow tubing, food, drinks, skiing lessons, and more. Call today for more information at 856-469-9634. That's 856-469-9634. Or you can send an email to touchradio.nyc, or you can visit the store for tickets. Oh, here it is, info@touchradio.nyc for your tickets. And you can also go to the store at touchradio.nyc/touchradio/ski trip. All right, so definitely, guys, go out and have some fun. And also for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we have some items are for sale. So all of these items, they they go towards making strides your way, and they are helping out with the breast cancer awareness and raising funds for breast cancer research. So they have so many items in here, and they even have a cute little pink face mask. Okay, so definitely get out there and support, support, support. We really appreciate everything you're all doing. And thank you for listening, guys. So I am going to bring my guest on after I play a couple of radio and station announcements. Let me get all right. So my guest is here. Let me get my preamble to get him on. Oh, I'm not seeing him.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there you are, Harry. I could hear you. Hi, Harry.
Hi, hi, hi. I can hear you and I can see you.
Okay, you can hear me. Oh, I was having trouble hearing you, Harry. So I apologize. I didn't quite hear you. Harry, welcome. Good afternoon.
Hi, good evening. How you doing?
I am doing great. You're actually breaking up on on my side, and I'm not sure why, but that's okay. So, Harry,
Oh, okay. I don't know why.
thank you for coming on, and
I
I'm
can hear
sure
you
everybody
fine.
else is hearing you quite fine.
Well, I'm glad to be on, and I hope the audio improves as we go along because I can hear you, I think, okay.
Okay, so Harry, I want to thank you for coming on. Thank you for coming on the show for me today. And you know what's a great thing about you, Harry?
Oh, please
The
tell me.
great thing about you is that you were my first guest when I started in this year, my very first guest on my show. So that is, I just want to say thank you for that.
It was my honor, and I am glad to be back. I love this full circle moment, and I want to extend my congratulations on the success of your show, your new platform, you using your voice to do good and bringing joy into so many homes and hearts. It is a joy to watch. It is. It is a beautiful thing to witness. So thank you for leading by example. And thank you for having me back. I appreciate it.
Okay, wonderful, Harry. So, you shared about vision, how to get one, and I just want to thank you so much for that because guess what? It was January and we were in getting ready for 2020 mode, right? And oh boy,
Hmm.
what a year it has been on for this 2020.
It has.
It has been a crazy year for us, and we are in the 10th month of the year, believe it or not. And
Woo.
some of us are just saying, forget about 2020. Let's just, what's the word I'm looking for? Let's just scrap it and it's over with and it's done, right?
Yes.
But on the
I've
surface,
been one of
20,
those for a
I'm sorry,
while.
go ahead.
I said I've been one of those people for a hot minute there. I said throw the whole thing in the dumpster and set it on fire because my God.
But on the surface, 2020 actually sounds like it was a year from the Twilight Zone.
Yes. Yes. I agree.
Okay, I'm trying to see if I can, guys. I'm just sorry, I'm having a little technical difficulty because I'm not hearing Harry over here, but you all are hearing Harry, and it seems everybody's hearing Harry except me, and that needs to change. So, Harry, if you can hear me, do you mind if I call you so at least I can hear what you're saying to me on the phone? You don't have to, but
Yes.
I just want to be able to hear you. So I'm going to call you, Harry, on the phone. Okay.
No problem. Just
So in that way, I'm
do what you need to
able to
do. I'm
hear
right here.
you. Okay. So good. All right, Harry.
All right. Is this better?
Say something so I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Cool. So
All right.
I was saying we're now in the 10th month, and many people are very disappointed with 2020, and for many reasons. We get it. And on the surface, 2020 seems like it was a year from the Twilight Zone. So tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are and what you do.
Okay, who am I and what do I do? Well, my name is Harry Chinedu Ogbogu. I am based here in Houston, Texas, where I met lovely Hannah, and I've known her for a few years. And I am
I'm going to
the
try this
founder
again.
of an organization called Ascend Higher, which is an organization dedicated to creating spaces, virtual spaces now because of COVID, spaces where we can gather and learn about becoming healed and whole and free and more authentic in a non religious environment using basic tools to ascend really into the truth of who we are. So that's in essence is what I do. So I hold master classes virtually. I mentor groups, individuals. I counsel one on one, and so on and so forth. So that, in a nutshell, is what I do. I don't know if Hannah can still hear me. I see the phone isn't connected anymore.
Okay, thank you, Harry. I appreciate you sharing that. So I really want to dive into the most basic of human activities, and no, it's not breathing. And those are some of the things that we do automatically, but an activity that directs our lives, both on the conscious and the subconscious level. And what I'm talking about is thinking, the thought, right?
Mm,
Rene
mm.
Descartes. And for those of you who know who that is, he is a French philosopher that says, I think, therefore I am. So tell me, Harry, in your estimation, is he right?
Now that's a big, big, deep philosophical question. I used to believe that was true. I think, therefore I am. And now, based on my experiences, based on my leanings towards things that are more spiritual, you can call it that, or vibrational, or whatever you want to call it. I do not think, using the word think, that that is completely 100% true. If we think,
Okay,
sorry, go ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, if we think that what we think is who we are, I believe that is such a limited way of viewing the wholeness of us because your thoughts only go as far as your experience, which is fine. But at the core of you, you are far greater than any of your experiences. I believe, I know, I feel. So that's where I come from when it comes to thoughts. Your thoughts are a tool through which you can explore who you are, but your thoughts are not who you are.
Okay, Harry. So basically, what you're saying is that we are not sitting somewhere on a matrix, right, on some starship, thinking that we don't exist, right? That we're not out there just thinking of that, right? So we actually do exist, and it's thinking that we think, therefore I am. It's much bigger than that.
I believe so. From just my experience so far in life, I believe so. That we are far bigger and better and deeper than what our thoughts allow us to see in the time.
Okay. So let's take this down to the real granular level because you know me, I like to take things down to the basics that we can. What really is a thought when you think about it? Like what hear that? That's just like what is a thought when you think about it? So what is a thought? And how does a thought influence our life?
Okay, so let's think of it this way. So does everyone here, is anyone here or everyone who is listening, you all are familiar with what a prism is? You know, that little triangular glass thing that separates light, white light, into all its different colors. You've probably seen it on some few famous album covers. Okay, so I want you to imagine that your mind is like this prism. Okay, this prism represents the device called your mind, because your mind is just simply a device of intelligence. Okay, your mind is your basically your brain or your nervous system that sits, is that which is what new age people call awareness, for lack of a better word. Awareness, okay? It's such a woo woo word, but that's probably one of the best ways to describe it. Just awareness itself, consciousness itself. All right. Consciousness, consciousness. So, consciousness, imagine if consciousness were like a bright beam of light, okay, that is passing through the prism of your mind. Remember, the prism represents your mind, right? And what does a prism do to white
Mhm.
light? It separates the light into the seven primary colors. If my if my physics 101 is right, if I'm trying to remember this correctly, but because of the way to seven primary colors. So I hope I haven't lost anyone here yet. All right. So your consciousness is that white light. The white light represents your consciousness, which is the core of who you are, the core of really what you are. Some people use the word God. The mind is a prism. Is the prism. The prism represents the mind, which is just a device that bends that white light. Okay, that focuses that white light, or rather, in the experiment, it really separates the white light into different
Not
colors.
yet.
So it refracts the light. And then the different colors that come through at the other end, those are streams of thought. Streams of thought. So we have on one side, the white light, awareness. On in the middle, the prism that's separating the white light into attention. So it takes awareness, then focuses, or rather splits the awareness into what we call attention. And this attention is then directed outwards towards different things, towards things like your family, different subjects, different objects, family, lover, children, job, COVID, 2020, whatever it is you're putting or shining your attention on. So this is in essence where, using this illustration, your thoughts come from. Your thoughts are just consciousness energy, awareness that your mind is using to try to make sense of the world you're living in. It's a tool of intelligence. It is not you. You have a mind. Your Most of us, we operate with the belief, the understanding, the experience that our mind is us. That's why that quote, I think therefore I am, sort of, it brings up the image that I am my mind. In the same way that you aren't really your body, you have a body, okay? You have a body, but you are not your body. You have a mind, you are not your mind. If this is true, then the thoughts that come from your mind are not you. They're just expressions of your attention, which came from your awareness. If that makes any kind of sense to your audience.
Thank you, Harry. So I am actually still not hearing you through my monitor. I'm actually following you along on Facebook. So I'm catching up to you where you are. Saying is that our mind is a tool. And this
Yes.
tool is not us really. It's really separate from
I will not. Yes and no. I hesitate to use the word separate when discussing the human condition. Okay, we really are just one inseparable entity, just manifested in different forms. So but for the purpose of this discussion, we can say that the mind is as a hammer is to the carpenter, to us. So a carpenter Someone who works with wood he uses hammers all the time. The hammer is supposed to make his work easier. All right. So the mind is the same thing. It's a tool. You do not say the hammer is the carpenter. You say the carpenter has a hammer, and he can have all kinds of tools. All right, in his tool shed that work for him. So just like your heart is a tool as well. All right. You're trained, conditioned to believe that what happens between our ears is the truth about us, but it's not the truth about us. It is what may be true, but it is not the truth about us.
Okay. All right, Harry. So let me ask you a question. So the mind is like a hammer to a carpenter. So it's an instrument that we can use. And you were rightly so that a lot of times we do feel as though our thoughts are really us, right? But it's really the thought is not really the essence of who we're really going. So can we or do we have the ability to control or manage our thoughts? Or do we just go with our thoughts with our whatever direction it is?
Oh, that's a really good question. Do we have the ability to control our thoughts? Let me put it this way. We may not, most of us may not have the ability to control what thoughts come into our mind, but almost all of us have the ability to decide the kind of relationship we have with that thought that comes in our mind. Okay? Because trying to control your thoughts is such a futile exercise. And so when we say control thoughts, people get panicky and anxious because how do you do that? You're streaming through your mind, just like the light is always streaming through the prism and always splitting the white light into the different seven colors of the rainbow. So also our thoughts always the mind. The job of the mind is to think. You don't ever want your heart to stop beating. Its job is to keep pumping blood. Now, whether the blood is good or bad is irrelevant. You want it to keep moving because your body needs blood circulating. So also the mind. It is always entertaining, allowing thoughts. So controlling thoughts isn't, I wouldn't use that phrase. However, the relationship with those thoughts, that's where everyone listening, that's where you have the ability to decide you have with the kind of relationship you have with your wardrobe, with the clothes you wear. Okay, today you want to put on a yellow dress, tomorrow you want to put on jeans. All the clothes are always in your closet, they ain't going nowhere. So your mind is like that closet, but you get to decide what outfit to wear, and you have the power to decide what thoughts you want to entertain, you want to have a relationship, a positive relationship with, or a negative relationship with. It's really up to you.
Okay, Harry. So tell me, what are the type of relationships you can have with your mind? Because I've never really, and I'm sure most people, anyone listening to this, either now or in the replay, have never heard having a relationship with your thoughts. And that's really unique.
Okay,
Okay,
so
so help us how do
relationship
we
with your
manage that
thoughts.
relationship?
Well, it starts with examining what beliefs you have about yourself. Let's start there. Okay. So, your mind, most of us believe that our mind is who we are. And the its collection of experiences, its interpretation of our experiences, right? We then believe, well, this is me. We call it our personality. We say, this is my personality. All right. So if you've been traumatized as a kid to where you were maybe abandoned or neglected or something awful like that happened to you, then because your mind then takes that experience and interprets it like this: I am always going to be abandoned to ensure that I don't get abandoned. Okay. And then you then put that quirk into your personality. You become maybe clingy, or you become maybe loud. You say, well, this is who I am. You see, you have taken, you have developed a relationship in your mind with that belief that then influences your outward behavior. So examining the beliefs you have is really the first step. What do you believe about you? And are you willing to change your mind about it? One of the things I really teach in my classes, and you know this, Hannah, is what I call the emotional power tool called willingness. Are you willing to change your mind? Some of us don't believe our minds can be changed because we believe we are our mind, and change scares us, and we don't want to change who we think we are. If you can change your mind, you ain't using it. Your mind is literally meant to be changed. That's how growth occurs. So, what you believe about yourself, about your mind, is the first step. Can I change my mind? Do I have agency to change my mind? Am I willing to? If the answer is yes, 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 you are well on your way to developing a more positive relationship with the thoughts, with the beliefs, with the expectation, with the opinions that stream through your mind. If that makes any sense.
Well, Harry, I agree with you because, one of the things that about that's unique about my particular show is I get really authentic and I put my business out there in the streets. And you're very familiar with some of my issues.
We
And one
are.
of my issues is abandonment, right? Abandonment. And we've talked about that. And I am not a clingy person at all. I am very independent. I am very self sufficient. I shouldn't say independent because I am interdependent in my society and my group and my community. But when I get involved in intimate relationships, I get clingy, right? And it's not because I want attention or anything, but because of my abandonment issues. And we've talked a lot about that. And because of that belief of abandonment or rejection, we tend to, what's the word I'm looking for? We tend to make decisions that seem out of character in in one area of your life, and yet people judge you, or you judge yourself on that whole totality, or totality of yourself based on one area, right? So
Mhm.
how do we then begin to evaluate our beliefs so that we can?
Oh, that's a really good question. Thanks for asking that. And thanks for your honesty about that. That's pretty cool. So, look at your story. Okay? So we all have stories we tell ourselves. Look at the story you're telling yourself about yourself. All right. So you just said that, and I'm paraphrasing here, and feel free to correct me, that because of my abandonment issues, I am this, I am that, I am this, I am that. Okay. So you then say, and you represent all of us in this conversation, myself included, that because of this past experience, because of my interpretation of this experience, then I am this or I am that. Now, do you mind if I go to church for a second to do that as a delay? If the audience can hear me, it's
Sure,
okay.
go to church.
So, okay. So When we say I am, okay, for those of you, for those professional Christians listening, okay, that was the answer that God in the Judeo-Christian Bible gave Moses when he was when he revealed himself to Moses through the burning bush.
Very
Moses
heritage.
said, who am I? Who shall I say sent me? Moses asked God when God was giving him the mission to go free the slaves in Egypt. And God says, I am. It's a very famous, popular thing. I am. That's what God presented as his name. Okay. All right. Now, when we say I am to ourselves, referring to ourselves, imagine you were evoking God when you say I am. Okay. So you then call God's name, I am. Okay. Okay. And then you then say, because of my abandonment experience, I am clingy. Let me let me translate that for you. So because of my experience of being abandoned, I am, which is God's name, is clingy. That don't even sound right because God ain't clingy. You see, you have then, again, this is the spiritual aspect of this talk right now. You have then diminished yourself by declaring what you are not. You are not clingy. You are misinformed. There's a difference. Okay? You're just misinformed about who you are. There's a difference. And so that's part of the work, reframing that story we tell ourselves whenever we make declarative statements like, I am stupid, I am scared, I am fearful, I am unsure, I am uncertain, I'm insecure. I am. If that is God's name, according to your Bible, for those of you who are Christians, right, then you're insulting God because you're saying God is scared, God is silly, God is insecure. Okay. And the core of you rejects that ideal, and that friction within you causes anxiety and causes you to live in fear and to shrink yourself to fit that declarative statement. Now, that's the church part of this conversation. All right. Now, moving forward, and forward, it is very possible, very, very possible to re examine the story you've been telling yourself, being honest with it by telling the truth about it, and then deciding to change your mind about it by reframing that story in a way that's closer to the truth of who you feel that you are, aka healing. All right. You are not clingy. You are not, you are not, you are not unwhole. You think you're clingy, or you think you should be clingy because you don't want to be abandoned. That's the truth. The real you, the real Hannah, the real Harry is not clingy. We don't do clingy. God doesn't do clingy. The one you call God, Source, doesn't do rules of the script you've written for yourself, which is the story. So getting clear on the story, telling the truth of what you've been telling yourself is the first step towards changing, reframing that story. In neurology, I believe it's called subjective insertion, reframing that story, changing the subject of that story. Okay? So that's, I think, an answer to that question to a degree. Hopefully, it was useful.
Okay. So how we wow, that's really some revelation that came there, that, you know, God is clingy when you think about that. And that doesn't even sound right, as you said, right? And it's just like revelation, because even when we think of it in a scriptural sense, if we are in the image of God and we are representatives of God here on the earth, those negative thoughts and negative patterns that we have are so erroneous, so wrong. It's what you call it? It's not edifying us as human beings, right? So I know you
Yes.
said examine the story, and some of us don't even really understand the story. Because I remember when I first started on my journey of evolution. That's what I call it. I'm evolving every day, right? So when I first started my
Mm-hmm.
journey of evolution, I came into contact with so many different ideas and thoughts that I didn't have a clue. But as I continue on, right, because I knew there was a different way to life, because how I felt it was not helpful. There was no peace of mind. There was turmoil. I literally used to feel my brain cells fry. That's to tell you how I was so us who have just started this journey, or those of us that this is a brand new thought, how can we then begin to evaluate what those beliefs are?
So, how can we begin to evaluate what those beliefs are? Well, look at your behavior. Your behavior will reveal what you believe. Okay? Look at your behavior. What are you doing? What are you doing to you? What are you doing for you? Your behavior will reveal to you what you really believe. Not what you think you believe, but what you really believe. And if you're honest with yourself, you can then take your behavior as the truth of where you are and start there. So if you say that I believe in in respecting people, if you claim that's a core value that you have, I respect everyone, right? And you're a professional ghoster, okay, right? That's how you cover yourself. That's how you protect yourself. That's how you feel powerful. If that's what you do, then the behavior trumps your what you think you believe about yourself. So the true is true that you gaslight people. It's true that you ghost people. That's what is true about you. That's your story. Now, where did this come from? That's a different conversation, but that's true. So you honesty by itself is the most radical thing in the most radical force in the world. It can change anything. Being radical. So you are honest with your
Yes,
behavior
sir.
and you start there. What am I doing? What do I do automatically when this situation is presented to me over and over again? What's my go to? You see, where do I feel safe? Where do I make my home at in terms of my behavior? Asking those questions, that's where you start. Not what you think you want to do, but what you are already doing. You see, then once you're clear on that, once you accept that, and it's about accepting it too, so you're getting clarity for the purpose of accepting that this is what is true about me. And then once you accept it, then you can accept that you are willing to actually change, and that's where the work begins. But if you shame and you give me, right, the the uh the polished version of your problems, of your troubles, right? Because you don't want to be judged as being less than, inferior, or whatever the case may be, right? You don't want to be judged as being too wrong. Then the lack of honesty, the lack of transparency, the lack of clarity will be a barrier towards you clearing that story up, towards you healing that story up, towards you being able to fully change your mind about into you so that you can change it. You can change the shape of it, change the mind about yourself.
Okay, Harry. So you've unpacked a lot there. I have realized that that ghosting story is really that you think that may be difficult. So I get that because I have done a lot of avoiding. I don't really ghost people, but I've done a lot of avoiding myself. But when you talk about a policy version there, it's really about acceptance, because and acceptance can be really hard when you really face the truth about who you are, and you come face to face with that, and you realize, oh my god, all this time it really has been my issue and not really somebody else's issue. And even though they're there, and they probably come to show you, not more probably, they've come to show you a mirror of your behavior. And for many years, you point the finger. And my mother always say, when you point the finger up front, three fingers are pointing back at you. You know, choices, and it means having courage, right? So, how do we have courage
Yes.
when our emotions tell us to run, to hide, and even when people are mean and ugly to you, it's really fear that's driving it, and they're hiding from the truth of who they are. So, how do we accept that? How do we move through the difficult emotions to acceptance?
So, how to accept the truth of where you are, what you want. Okay. All right. So, there are many ways you can do that. Acceptance is really the highest form of love. So, when you say self acceptance, what you're really saying is self love, because you have to, if you love something, you have to accept it, yes, in the form in which it shows up. That's true love. So accepting yourself is about yourself, loving yourself where you are, how you are. Now, how to do that is such a individual, unique experience, because people get there differently based on how you think, based on what you believe, based on your experiences, based on how hurt you are, based on how whole you are, whatever it is. It's such a unique thing. So there isn't a one way to accept yourself. What there is are techniques you can use, right? To pause the stream of thoughts, to pause the story you're telling yourself about yourself long enough to create a space or a gap through which your natural love, your natural inclination to love will then break through. I gave the illustration of the prism, where your awareness, your consciousness is what passes through the prism to become thoughts on the other side. That awareness is awareness of what? Awareness of love, because you came to love. Everything you do is about love. You can't escape it. Drinking a glass of water is love. You love yourself enough to quench the thirst in your body, so you drink water. Okay? Even something as mundane as drinking a glass of water is an act of love. Everything you do is about love, which means you came from love, which means love already is in you. You don't need to get it. Your natural equilibrium state of being. Our job, if it's a job at all, is to be able to pause for a moment the stream of thoughts, aka the story we're telling ourselves about us, long enough to create a gap through which that love naturally rises to the surface. Okay. So I call it, so that pause I'm talking about, I call it taking pleasure in the pause. Pleasure in the pause. By even something as simple as taking a deep breath in and out, just for that microsecond, because you focus your awareness on your well being, you've paused or slowed down the stream of thought. That's an act of love. Just breathing consciously is an act of love, you see. So simple things like that can help in that way. We actually do it naturally. Have you ever found yourself just giving a big sigh, like, after an event or an experience? That's your body naturally just letting go of the stress of that experience. So consciously employing the natural things your body does, right, can be very useful in helping you change the narrative, or rather slow down the narrative in your head long enough for your natural self to come forward. And your natural loving self is your accepting self. It accepts all the parts of you, the good, the bad, the ugly, and it doesn't judge you because it's love. It accepts.
Hmm. Okay, Harry, thank you for that. I really appreciate that. So, actually, you said something about a knowing, and I want to delve in that a little bit because there are times when your mind is going and going, and sometimes you get caught up in a cycle of thinking, right? But yet, the cycle of thinking that's going on in your head actually goes against what you sort of kind of know. But because you can't really
Hmm.
put your finger on the knowing, you go along with your thoughts and you run because that is your habit, right? Some of our
That's the
behaviors are
compulsion.
habitual based
Yeah.
on our thinking. So, how do we really slow down the thoughts that you said with the breathing and the thought, and really tap into the knowing and accept that as truth? The knowing, accept that as truth instead of just going with the thoughts, because you could slow down your breathing, slow things down, but still you're in the habit of thinking and going on automatic. How do we tap into the knowing of life?
That's a really, really good question. So, when your mind is gripped by thoughts, gripped by the cycle of compulsive thinking, okay, which is most of us 80% of the time, okay, and this is only because that's just like you said, habit. That's the habit we've practiced over a long time. We weren't taught any different. This is just how most of us do it. So, when you're gripped in that cycle, one of the things you can do is, if you're aware enough, and this comes with practice and patience and practice and patience and practice and patience, you tell yourself something like this: my thoughts are not the truth. So you're not trying to stop the thoughts, but by simply declaring to yourself that my thoughts are not the truth, it does something. It withdraws value from those thoughts, and they become less powerful, less potent in your head because they're not the truth. It is your natural inclination to value truth, that which is truth, over that which is not truth. That's why you want honesty in your relationships. Okay? That's why you want communication. You value truth. So just declaring the truth that my thoughts this minute, as big as they are, as scary as they are, my thoughts in this very moment are, they are not the truth about me, about the situation, about now. Just that simple statement will put you in observer mode, where you're no longer
Mm-hmm.
so attached to the outcome, to the thoughts that you're thinking, but you can stand back and just watch it from a mental distance, watch it do its thing, because you have withdrawn value from it. You've diminished its value. The reason why we cling to our thoughts is because we think they have value, because we think we're our thoughts. Okay, think about it. If you found out that that gold necklace that your ex-boo thing gave you in 1977, okay, that he told you was worth $2,000, okay, and ever since then you've cherished this gold necklace because of the value of it, sentimental value, of course, and also the price of it. And then one day somebody looks at it and goes like, "Oh, where did you get that trinket from?" And they say, and you say, "Oh, they gave it to me, blah blah blah. It's worth $10,000 or whatever." And they say, no, someone lied to you. That's $2 at the market, flea market down the street." Right? The value of that gold chain, though, has been diminished by the truth of it. because the truth was someone lied to you and told you it was $1,000, but in reality it was $2. The way you'll treat that necklace moving forward will be different. You don't have to throw the necklace away, but it won't hold as much value and therefore as much power over you as it once did. If it got missing, you probably wouldn't care as much now versus before you found out its true value. So that's what this particular act can do when you just say something like this. These thoughts are not the truth about me. That's how you begin to allow for your knowing to arise from within.
Yes, Harry, that joke, that prank, actually, the gold necklace analogy reminded me of a prank that I heard recently. Um, Uncle Tom, I think it's Uncle Tom or cousin Tom, he called this woman telling her he was from the ring appraisal place, and the ring she brought in actually was worth $700. And the way this woman behaved, because she thought the ring was a $10,000 ring, she called the boyfriend, the fiance on the phone, and he is like, "What are you talking about? I paid a lot of money for that ring." And she was just out of control. She was like, "That ring, you better get a more expensive ring." And it seemed like the ring was way more important to her than the relationship
Yeah.
she was in with this man. It just got really ugly. I was like, wow, she really focused on the material there. That was too funny. So you brought that back to me. But I
That
want
is
to agree
funny.
with something that you did talk about, practice and patience. And that's one of the great things I love about Facebook. They can tell you, give you your memories. And I have been on this
Mm,
journey of evolution since 2012, and it may be beyond that. But just looking at some of my postings this weekend, I was like, wow, I have truly grown. And it is patience and practice. It really is not something that happens overnight. And it, time and time again, I look at it as moment by moment, because in this moment, I would tell my thoughts, I am not you. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. And you know how we women go, we have to have a thought over and over and over. And then in the next moment, maybe an hour later, I'm having the same thought. And then I find myself running down the rabbit hole with it. And I'm ready to call somebody and cuss them out. Right. So it's really having taken practice and patience of you listening to me and Harry today. You really have to just be patient with yourself if this is a decision that you want to make, to begin to really it's, I call it living a life of peace, right, Harry? Because it really
hmm.
has helped me live a life of peace, having this
Yes.
type of mindset. And I
Yes.
want to go into one more thing before we close off, because I want to keep to our commitment. One of the things you hear people talk out there, and I'm speaking my truth, right? I'm speaking my truth. And I have found that most times when they say they want to speak their truth is because they've been wronged in some way, right? They believe
Yeah.
that they have a grievance against somebody or a group of people or just even a system. So is that the same truth that we're talking about when we talk about the truth?
The truth is neutral by nature. Okay. What is truth is truth is truth, is neutral. Because it's neutral, it can easily be weaponized by a hurting ego, all right? Or it can be used as a tool to further good, to create good. So by nature, truth is neutral. It doesn't side with faction A, it doesn't side with faction B. It is neutral. What you use it for, right, is what decides, what reveals really where you are in relationship with the truth. People do speak the truth, yes, but they then weaponize it. They use it as a means to be against something, be against some people, to be against a principle, All right, they weaponize it, and that can be useful in some way instances. Injustice, for example, using truth as a weapon against injustice is a good thing. All right. In the same vein, some people can use the truth as a means to manipulate people. So you say, well, I'm going to speak my truth because you know that when you speak your truth, you're going to hurt this person in a way that they may not recover from in a long time. And you do it because that's what you want. You want to hurt them. So you use the truth to hurt them. So the truth is as useful, as powerful, as creative, as destructive as the hands in which it is being used, by which it's being used. If that makes any sense. So you can use the truth for good, use the truth for not so good. So it's really up to the one who is wielding that power of truth. But
Okay.
if you come from a place of love, which is self acceptance, which you spoke about, accepting yourself, accepting others, loving yourself, which means loving your failures, which means loving your shortcomings, so on and so forth. Then when you use the truth, you're using the truth in a loving way.
Okay, Harry. Thank you so much for that. Okay. So, Harry, tell people where they can find out more about you, because I'm sure you'll realize, or maybe just hearing Harry speak for ecstatic about Harry. Harry has changed my life in significant ways. And he has helped me find that place of peace that you'll hear me talk about so many times when I'm speaking. Harry is really, really awesome. I'm like one of his
Oh,
biggest fans, and he calls me yes, boss. So tell our listeners where they can find out more about you.
yes, boss. Yes, so you can find me through the web at my organization's website. The organization is Ascend Higher, and the website is iascend.me. iascend.me. So that's the letter I, no gap, the word ascend.me. So you can reach me through that, or you can find out more about what we do, or you can go to my personal website, which is harryogbogu.com. Don't ask me to spell it out for you because I can't online, but just Google it, Harry Ogbogu, and it will come up. And those are the two ways that you can reach me, or on Instagram. Just search Ascend Higher on Instagram or Facebook, and you can reach me through that if you so desire. I hold weekly classes that are free on Sundays at 11 a.m. Eastern. Sorry, 11 a.m. Central. I'm sorry. Online on YouTube and Facebook Live. And you're more than welcome to join the classes. They're awesome. I give out worksheets and assignments, and I take questions to give answers to. So yeah, so that's how I can be reached. Thank you, Hannah. I really appreciate that, boss.
All right, Harry, you rock. Oh my God, you are so amazing, Harry. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. Harry will be
I
back, believe it or
appreciate you.
not. If you received really good knowledge, as they say, he was spitting good knowledge today, and how we can begin to grab hold of those thoughts that seek to take us downward spiral. And as you get older, you don't want to be carrying these thoughts around anymore. My God. So thank you, Harry. I really appreciate you. So I am going to let you go on and enjoy the rest of your evening. I appreciate all that you do for
Thank
me.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate your success and looking forward to the next time. Bye, everybody.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much. I hope each and every one of you enjoyed that conversation I had with Harry. Harry is just like the bomb.com for me. I started taking his classes sometime in 2006 17 or 18, somewhere around there. And Harry is just amazing. He has given me the foundation that I have today to begin to live a life for me that is in peace. I have had a lot of guides and coaches and mentors along the way, but just having him close by has been very significant in beginning my journey of really truly understanding who Hannah. Hannah is, you see a physical representation of Hannah in front of you, but that is not who Hannah is. Hannah really is that energy source that's within, who've come to live this life as me, Hannah. And I really like what I see in the mirror. I really like what I think in my head. I really do like myself. I didn't always like myself, honestly, but I truly do like myself now. It hasn't always been like that. And I just wanted to share Harry with you guys because his knowledge, it goes beyond. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday and I said to her that, I identify as a Christian. I do believe in the Bible, but church wasn't working for me. I'm going to be honest and truthful. Church wasn't working for me. Some of the principles and the way they teach it, not the principles themselves, but the way that they teach those principles, right? It just wasn't connecting for me. And I needed to seek to understand because I knew that what was within me, within my life, within this essence or this body that I see here was much bigger than what they were teaching me, because the Bible is much bigger than what they really teach. And I wanted to find out for myself, and Harry was one of those people who gave me what I was looking for. And when he started teaching, I was able to connect what his teachings with what the scriptures was saying, that brought it home for me, that I was able to say, oh my God, look at the power that we have that is being taught in the Bible, but we're not truly understanding it because we're not getting the right teachings. And church is not working for a lot of people because we're not getting the right teachings. And, to be honest, I don't go to church anymore, but I believe that I have a more rich life now than I had when I was running into church every Sunday, volunteering in church, on the prayer teams. My prayers for others were not in the power that I truly have, because I really didn't understand the power that was within me. And I'm beginning to understand that even more now. And each day is more revelation and more revelation for me as I go forward and learning more about who God is within me, that power that's within me, that energy source that just takes over and allow me to operate in this earth. I really and truly was not getting that in church. And, some people would judge me. And you know what? I don't care. Judge me if you want to. Judge me based on your determination of what the scriptures are. But I know what I'm getting because I came to live this life for myself, because the scripture tell you to test God, right? The scripture also tell you work out your own salvation. And working out my salvation is really beginning to understand who I am, who God is in me, and operating in that power. And I'm learning that more and more and more every day. And I'm not learning that in the church. I'm learning that outside of the church. So I am working it the best way for me, and I'm sharing the information that I'm asking you to follow along. But begin to think and begin to identify new ways of thinking that you could incorporate into your lives. So it's 6:28 and it's time for a break. And I could have done a station break before, but Harry was really on a roll and just having that challenge with not being able to hear him. And I need to work that out. So I apologize for the little lag and delay, but I don't think y'all was short on information or short on knowledge. So I just want to say that it's Shawnee Mountain Getaway Part 1 ski overnight trip. So come on, people, get your crews together, get your people together. Some of us used to live up north, and I am not going to lie, living down south, I do miss up north when the fall changes and you see the leaves change and they turn orange and red and brown and gets a little nippy and you want to put on a little jacket, put on your boots, put your gloves on, even though in Houston area the weather drops to 55 and everybody got on their gloves and their boots. But that is not true winter. So get your crew together and go to Shawnee Mountain Getaway, part number one, and that's October 31st is the deadline to get your tickets and everything for that. So contact information info at touchradio.nyc for tickets, and tickets are also on sale at the touchradio.nyc slash touch store slash ski trip. You can get your tickets there, and your packages include overnight round trip, lodging for 2 nights, activities and partying, and definitely skiing, snowboarding, snow tubing, foods, drinks, and ski lessons. So all that available for you. Get your families together, take your children on a nice trip. Everybody's been inside for COVID. It's a great opportunity to get out. It's out in the open, so it's not that you have to be concerned about enclosed spaces. So it's outside, really fun trip. And then we have Making Strides Your Way, this event. It's occurred today. All right. So it's Making Strides Your Way, and I believe you can still donate, right? You can still donate or you can still purchase breast cancer awareness items in the Touch store, and all of the sales and proceeds go to Making Strides Your Way. And that is it for our announcements. And generally, I like to play music, and while I always play my favorite song, and for those of you who knows my favorite song, I really, really love this song. And the other day I went to a little backyard event. I'm not out there having a grand old party time. Trust me, I am inside a lot. I go out to take care of business. I go out for work. I go to work 3 times a week. And I go there from 8 to 12. It's just me alone in that particular suite. The building is generally empty because staying clear of COVID is important for me because I have an underlying condition and I don't want to um, have to be sick and have my family concerned and worried about my health. And I don't want to be sick either, honestly, to tell you the truth. I just don't want to be sick. I hate being sick. So can you imagine having to have issues with breathing? And for those of you who work in healthcare, you've seen this face to face, so you know what it's all about. So um, I want everyone to be safe, be healthy, take it easy, take precaution when you're going outside. However, my favorite song, oh, I was telling you about Jerusalem. So the song Jerusalem, I started playing. DJ gave us maybe 1, 2 minutes, if so much, and I started doing my dance, and my friends started dancing with me, and then he stopped it. And then he play some soca song or something. I continued doing my Jerusalem steps. Didn't care. I was doing my steps. So you could dance this dance to any particular song that you want. Just it's like a modified version of Electric Slide. Really and truly, it really is. And I really did love that song. So I'm going to play this version. I'm going to play a saxophone version. So I want to play that one for you. And I hope that you enjoy it because I really love this song and it is loading up. So let's hope that we get this song up and running soon. And it is frozen. Okay. It's not coming on. All right. So you are listening to touchradio.nyc. Yes, you are. And this is Hannah, and you're listening to Keeping It Fresh with Hannah on Touch Radio NYC. We can be found at www.touchradio.nyc or on Facebook Live, on Touch Radio Entertainment, or on YouTube at Touch Radio NYC live stream. And if you're listening and you find value in this discussion, please share the link with someone you know. If not, next week I'll be back here at the same time, same place. Definitely share that with others so that they can get this information as well, because this is really good information that you don't necessarily find other places, right? I want to be able to share with you on how to change your life if that is what you so desire. Some people don't. They love how their lives are, or maybe they don't like it, but they just don't know how to change it, right? So sometimes it's not the what, but it's the how to. And that is my goal, to give you some how to's in order to get it going. So before I brought Harry on, we were talking about your homework. So part two of your homework. Part two of your homework is, remember, part one was to daydream, right? So I want you to daydream and forget about all of your worries. Just before you go to bed at night, I want you to close your eyes and think about that thing that you want to do that you've kind of pushed off because you didn't have enough finances, or you didn't your wife wouldn't let you do it, because everybody know women are the bosses in the house, not the men. The men walk around and say they're the boss, but when it comes to actually getting things done, they got to check in with their wives, right? So we already know who's the real boss. So now that your wife wouldn't let you do it, or maybe you wait until the children get older, or maybe it is that you just feel that your time has passed, right? And remember, I mentioned that my mother at the age of 88 still have some goals and dreams. So there's no reason why you at 55, you at 40, you at 35, you at 60 or 70 can say, well, your time has passed. Your time has not passed. That was the thinking of the old, right? Remember, Harry talked about beliefs. So that's old thinking. We're not thinking old anymore. I'm sorry, I'm just speaking like a Trinity there. We are not thinking in the old anymore. We are going to adopt some new beliefs because we're walking around with some really old beliefs in our heads. So at that moment when you lay down on your bed and you say, oh my God, thank God for this bed, and you begin to feel really relaxed in that space and time, I would like for you to daydream. I would like for you to go into your mind and think about what it is that you want to do. I want you to remind yourself of the feelings, what first made you want to do those things, right? So you're daydreaming. Maybe you're daydreaming like me, that I remember one time I was in the airport. I was in the airplane. So I used to fly in the airplane as a young child because of the benefits my dad had. And generally, if I the flight was not a straight flight to the United States or to England or wherever I was going, if it was not a straight flight, my dad would go speak to the pilot and ask them for me to sit in the jump seat. So I was, many times I would find myself in the jump seat, which is right behind the pilot. They have an extra seat. When that door closes, there's a seat that comes down. So that is where I used to sit. So there were times when they touched down on the next leg, there were available seats, and then I would move to the back. But I was always in the jump seat in the event that the flight was so full that I don't get bumped off and I'm in a country where I don't have any family or contacts and I'm in the airport stuck. So he wanted to ensure that I got to my final destination, the port of Spain. So I was in a jump seat and we were flying over Hurricane Hugo. So that was back in 1989, I think it was. Yes, 89. I looked down and I saw this big swirl of clouds. It was, I think it was yellow. And then in the middle was just peace and calm and quiet. In that moment in time, I decided I wanted to become a pilot. So I'm not. I'm not flying any commercial planes, okay? But I still have that dream of wanting become a pilot. And the great thing about it is very close by here in Houston, where I live. We have so many private airplane airports around that is not out of my league or outside of my reach. So that is one of the things that I want to do, is to fly a plane. So what I would do at times is I would think about me getting in the cockpit and checking the lights. So I'm all doing this visualizing, right? And how I would feel when I'm going up in the air. So that's what I want you all to do. So whatever it is that you want to do, whether you want to become a teacher, whether you want to run your own business, visualize yourself. That is the form of daydreaming. Visualize yourself doing that what you want to do. All right. So when you have all these great feelings and you're feeling it, when you're in the midst of all of that feeling and thinking and visualizing about what you want to do, there's going to be a negative thought or feeling that is going to creep up. Pay attention to that. That is the one of the things that's holding you back from doing that particular thing that you want to do, whatever it is, whether it's you're not have enough money, whether you're not tall enough, whether you're not um, bright enough, whatever it is, that is what is holding you back. That is your source of fear. And as Harry said, there's a belief that you have around that particular thought that is what holding you back, which is not the truth of who you are, because you are not your thoughts. And we have accepted that our thoughts are us for way too long. You are way bigger than your thoughts, even though he says that he doesn't want to separate them out, and I probably not saying it right. But your thoughts, they're not who you are. All right. So when you identify what that is, I would like you to really think about, when I say think, I mean evaluate why that is how you feel. So I want to share one of my dreams that was scaring the bejewel out of me. So I have spent a lot of time getting education, right? A lot of years. That's just something that comes naturally for me and just go to school. I'm not a professional student, but I just go to school, right? And since coming to Texas, I have to say I haven't reached the peak since I've been in Texas. When I lived in New York City, I left in 2009. I was actually on track for my career goals. But however, since I moved to Houston, several things happened. I had a couple of accidents and several other incidences that occurred that really caused me to lose my confidence as it relates to my career. You know, as much as I made some adjustments and I did certain things with my life, I and I've made a lot of improvements. Don't get me wrong. Since I've come into Texas, I've done a lot of things, but I just wasn't seeing any movement in my life in that area. So it could be the same for some of you. You have great triumphs in certain areas of your life, but there may be one particular area in your life you're not really seeing the advances that you would really like to see. So sometimes, even though you may be excellent parent, you're the best, you're always there for your children, or it could be that you're really great in your ministry, or it's really great in something else. There's one area of your life you feel defeated in. And for me, that area that I feel defeated in is my career. My friends, they know my strengths, and they try to motivate me beyond my place of acceptance. So I felt so defeated in that area of my career that I downgraded my own personal goals. And I just accepted my place. I felt contented, but really and truly I really wasn't contented. Even though I may say I was, I really wasn't contented, and I'm still not contented in that area. And I really and truly they didn't understand why I was accepting less for my potential, because I have a great potential. So they didn't understand why I was accepting less. By the time I didn't really know how to verbalize what I was feeling, right? So if I'm talking to you, you know what I mean by that. It's just a feeling that's not of you not feeling good enough, or a feeling of unspoken failure. That's how I really, really felt. Deep down inside, if I'm going to be honest with myself, where my career was concerned, I really felt defeated and deflated. And I um, accepted that. I was like, okay, I'm just going to work on building my business and moving things forward. And, I created my reality. I'm an outsider in Houston, and things, it takes time for you to get into that particular field. Or it may be that you know people don't just, it's hard to get into that company. Those may be realities, and I accepted those realities as truth, but they were not truth. So not long ago, in conversation with some trusted confidence, Harry was one of them as well. I realized that my thoughts is what was accepted, allowing me to accept less than I desired, less than what I really and truly deserve, because I really think that we deserve everything that is good in life. Everything that is good in life. But I had some limiting beliefs regarding that. And I needed to find the courage, courage to fix that less than feeling. So here it is. I'm having great, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Success. I'm having great success in some areas of my life, but then there's this particular area, and there's another area where it's like, "Ooh, life is deflated, right? So I need to find courage first to fix my thinking, courage to find out what was wrong, right? And then have the courage to break the cycle of defeat. So I now encouraged to go out and apply the job that I wanted since coming to Houston. So if I could find the courage, right, you could find the courage too. So I am going to be doing this journey with you as well. So if there's something that you need courage for, let's do this together. We can get it done, right? So let's move beyond the fears. Let's move beyond the cycle of paralysis of analysis or paralysis of negative thinking. And let's find out really what it is that we need to do, right? So I honestly believe that we were born to be productive citizens, productive individuals on earth. And if you don't believe me when I say that, go to the Bible for those of you who are Christians, right? That's how we call us, professional Christians, because we know the Bible. We can spit it left, right, center. We could go it. But yet, when it comes to actually understanding and living the life of victory that's in it, we really don't. But the scripture tells us, go forth and be fruitful and multiply. Or is it go forth, multiply and be fruitful and have dominion over the earth? And that, there, my folks, I submit to you, is productivity. So we are all created to be productive. When you look at all of life, you look at the trees, it produces, you look at the animals, they produce, right? So life is about a cycle of living that is about producing after your own kind. When you look at it, that's what the scripture tells us, right? So I believe that we were born to experience life as a unique person with dreams and desires. And dreams and desires doesn't necessarily have to be outward accolades per se, right? Productivity doesn't always have to mean the outward accumulation of material things like cars and houses and jewels, or activities associated with employment, or volunteer activities, or how busy you are. Productivity is not always about how busy you are. It's really about um, what value are you bringing, right? The value that you're bringing to life. Productivity could also include your relationships, right? It could be the quality of your relationships or the quantity of your relationships, depending, right? Productivity could include the level of activity in your family. So you may not necessarily be the most wealthiest person, or you may not necessarily be the one that's bringing in the most income, but definitely the level of activity in your family. You're there for your wife, you're there for your husband, you're there for your children, your circle of friends or associates. How does your life impact that of others? That is productivity as well. So don't look at productivity only as what you can visually see as it relates to material things, right? At the end of it all, we all crave that awesome feeling of accomplishment that comes from being a productive. You just had a really great dinner with your family or your friends. You feel good about it. That is being productive, right? So, how do we begin to start on the path of productivity? Right. So Harry shared some of that with us. Begin to examine your beliefs, begin to examine your thoughts, right? What type of thoughts are you having? And begin to understand that your thoughts are not you. They are not you. Your thoughts are not who you are. Right. So let's begin to work on our dreams, guys. I'm working on that one dream that I have. And believe it or not, when I made a decision that I was not going to I was made a decision to be courageous in that area. Believe it or not, a couple of jobs did show up on my timeline that very much align with some of my dreams, and I am going to apply for those. I'm working on getting my resume lined up for that. So here it is. I'm sharing with you guys some of the things that's been happening in my life. So I'm being courageous. I'm being authentic and open with you guys. I want you all to be able to start working on your dreams. 2020 is not done yet. So maybe the dream that you have or the desire you have, you can't get it finished in 2020, but you could definitely begin to start. So I want you to begin to start. Do something. I don't care what it is, something, one thing, anything. Like I don't remember, but I don't know why I keep saying that is a phrase I have, something, anything. Oh, I think it was Simba. He was like, anybody, one body, anybody, do something. So I first recommend we begin to look at your thoughts, as Harry says, slow your mind down. And that thought that keep beating you over the head, that's you judging yourself for some reason or the other, right? So let's not do the judging thing. Let's identify that judge in your head who keeps throwing that one thought at you and evaluate it. Is it really true, right? Because we look at our lives in one segment, right? We look at our lives, this one little corner that happens, which is one small snapshot in the whole expanse of your life. So I am 51 years old. But yet one thing happened during one cycle, maybe over a 3-month period, something happened. And now I beat myself up over that 3-month period when I had a whole lifetime of success. And then we get so focused on that. So remember, we talked about acceptance in the beginning. Acceptance is accepting what is, right? And finding ways to see how that particular thing can be a gift or blessing in your life and use that as a stepping stone. So let's look at the thoughts that we're having about things, because the thoughts that we're having is really what is our suffering, right? Our suffering as opposed to our triumphs. So the story of the monk, and I'm sure you all have heard the story of the monk, is that the monks, they took an oath to not interact or touch women in any form or fashion. That's just a story I'm telling you. This may not be true. And two monks were walking along the road one day, and they encountered a woman who had fell in a puddle of water. And one of the older monk, right? One was older, one was younger. The older monk, he picked up the woman to help her, right? Because she fell and she couldn't get up, and he picked her up to help her. And they continue walking along the road. The two monks, the older monk, the younger monk, they continue walking. And the younger monk was really upset and frustrated and angry. So the older monk didn't say anything to him. And then eventually the younger monk said, I am really angry. You broke our rules. And he was like, well, what are you talking about? He said, we have a rule, a rule that we're not to touch. We took an oath or a vow not to touch women. So the monk looked at him and he said, I did. She was in distress. I was helping her. He said, yeah, but the vow is the vow. Well, I picked that woman up and arrested her down 4 hours ago, and you're still carrying her. So, how many times are we taking thoughts along with us for years upon years, months upon months? It's already dead and gone. You can't go back and change it, but yet we carry that same thought over and over and over in our minds. So, it's time for us to examine these thoughts that we have in our heads and see if they serve us. Are they serving you? Are they helping you, or are they really taking you into a place of distress? So let's see, start thinking about those thoughts. You know what thoughts that are not serving you. You know what thoughts make you angry, what thoughts take you on a downward spiral. You know exactly what thoughts I'm talking about. So let's start thinking about those, right? Let's start thinking about those thoughts that we keep having. Once again, this is Hannah, and I am so excited. I hope that this session today, this talk today, really helped each and every one of you. If you're on Facebook, do you all see my new logo up there? I want to thank my station manager. I hope it's okay for me to call your name. His name is Dwayne. So Dwayne went out and got me a logo, keeping it fresh logo. So guys, just let me know what your thoughts are on my logo. Definitely, a lot of stuff, good stuff is going on. So I'm excited. A lot of good stuff. And he said, yes, it's okay to call his name. So I want to give a big shout out to Dwayne and my graphic designer who put it all together. I don't remember his name right now, but he's actually Nicaraguan. So he's from Nicaragua. I'm chopping up the whole people name. But anyway, this is a global station, everybody. This is not a station. It says Touch Radio NYC, but it's an exciting station that's going on. We have DJs on here from all over the world. Check it out any time of the day you want. Click on the link. Click on the or type in the touchradio.nyc. The music is always pumping. Then they also have really great information about different artists on there. There's a touch store, so you can go in there, purchase their logoed what you call it, store items. If you want to advertise, you can reach out and advertise as well too. This show goes all over. It's all over the world. So it's not just about New York City. Now he's in Houston. It's not just Trinidad, but it's different places, France and Venezuela, Turks and Caicos, all over the world. We have DJs from South. I am really excited about Touch Radio. Touch Radio is global, folks. So let's give some love. Somebody who wants to reach the world. Touch Radio NYC, right? Touch the world. I'm here, and anything that you need, definitely reach out and see how I can get you in touch with the owners of the radio station so that we can begin me, but definitely it can get bigger and more global. You never hear BET said that they're not big enough, right? You never heard ABC or any of those radio stations, any of those big global conglomerates say they're big enough. So, let's grow our own personal. This is our own. You know how many times we hear people say, well, we don't have anything. Yes, we have our own. Let's appreciate our own. Let's grow our own, and support our own, because that's the way for us to change the narrative about Black folks, right? That's the way for us to change the narrative about minorities. When we support our own, then we take pride and ownership in it, and we want to be able to share that. So once again, this is Touch Radio NYC. This is Hannah with Keeping It Fresh, with Hannah, and so much great things are happening next week. I am not sure if I'm going to have my guest on or if I'm just going to do the whole thing and then start my series, because do have a format that I want for the next few months, where I'm going to have one guest on a specific Sunday of each month, and we're going to delve into different topics, all related to what is holding you back. All I want to talk about is what's holding you back, because at the end of the day, we do not succeed our desires in life because there's something holding us back. And I want to help you and help me bring that forward. I want to be able to help each one of us find out what's holding us back so we could live lives of victory, live lives that's amazing, live lives that, that people are like, wow, even though things are crumbling around that woman or that man, he just keep his head up and keep moving. So it's not like you live in life of defeat. That's it. We no more defeat. We can live lives of victory even in the midst of turmoil, even in the midst of despair, because knowing that you who live inside of this human body that you have is much bigger than the circumstances, right? The scripture tells us greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. And the scripture also tells us, okay. And the scripture also tells us that we have a power within that's much bigger than anything else. Great is the power that's within you, right? That works in you. So up next, we're going to have DJ Majesty is coming up from Atlanta, Georgia. I told you all, this is international. This is national. This is a really hot station. So I am going to be checking out shortly, but definitely stay on, because we're going to have a hot DJ coming up. DJ Majesty, you hear that name? Majesty. That's just a powerful name right there. So expect really good music from him, I'm sure. So he's coming up from when time you hear the end of my voice, I am sure he's going to be popping up, coming on shortly. So thank you, thank you, thank you for listening, everyone. This is touchradio.nyc, and it's a really powerful station here it's based in New York City, but it's global. I want to thank every one of you. So for my Facebook listeners, Beverly. Oh, Beverly, thank you. Oh, he said DJ Majesty plays all types of music. So, Beverly, hi. Hi, Cheryl. I had a few other people come on. Keith Gibbs. Oh, Gloria, that's my buddy, Gloria Ray. And I had so many people on before, but I was so in the midst of talking um with Harry that I miss you guys because he always has really great things to say, and I really appreciate everyone. I don't take each of you for granted. So this is touchradio.nyc, and this is Hannah signing off because my time is up, and see you all next week. Share the link, build the excitement, let everybody know that this talk show is the bomb. All right, take care. Bye bye.